Hello and welcome to Inside Iraq. I'm Jassim Azzawi. The current security pact negotiations between the US and Iraq is not only causing controversy in Iraq and the US, but also casting doubt whether Iraq is sovereign enough to engage in such negotiations. The US wants this agreement wrapped up by the end of this month. Iraqi legislators are distrustful of the rush to complete the agreement and worry about secret supplements. The two vexing questions on the mind of many US legislators are: why not wait until the next US president is inaugurated? And will this agreement commit the US for a long-term protection of Iraq?
2 months ago, Sadr City was one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Iraq. For most Iraqis, daily violence and bloodshed are almost at their doorstep since the US-led invasion 5 years ago. But recent military crackdown by US and Iraqi forces against Shia militias and Al-Qaeda brought a relative and gradual stability to Baghdad and most parts of Iraq. The US military has declared that violence in Iraq is down to its lowest point in 4 years. This man says the ceasefire between the Al-Mahdi army and the Iraqi military is a welcome relief to residents.
Iraqis, Americans.
The US Embassy in Iraq says Iraq has met all but 3 of the 18 benchmarks set by Congress. But the General Accounting Office of US Congress blasted the Bush administration for misleading facts.
Even those that have been achieved are only achieved on a satisfactory basis. But it will be politically driven. When the Americans, whether the next president or next administration, decide the time has come to withdraw, then they will look at these benchmarks and somehow massage them, as I think they did with Vietnam, to make it look as though they have been achieved and Iraq is in better shape now than it was before the invasion.
Following a meeting with Ayatollah Sistani, Iraq's national security advisor, Muwafaq Rabai, stated that his country will not accept any security deal with the US unless it stipulates specific dates for the withdrawal of US troops. The US State Department shot back, rejecting any Iraqi demand for a specific pull-out date. Any withdrawal will be based on conditions on the ground.
I think that the important thing now is that Prime Minister Maliki is in a much stronger position than he was even a few months ago. He's achieved a lot of confidence as a result of his campaigns against the militias in Basra, Amara, and in Sadr City in Baghdad. And so as a result of that, he's in a stronger position to negotiate with the Americans about their status of forces agreement, also revealingly in a much stronger position and respected amongst neighbouring and other Arab states.
The two sides may opt for a short-term security pact to bypass Iraqi legislators and allay concerns of US Congress. One thing is for sure, Iraqi people will be watching the negotiations for any sign of secret deals or a breach of Iraqi sovereignty.
To discuss the current security pact negotiations between Washington and Baghdad and other issues, I'm delighted to welcome from Baghdad US Ambassador to Iraq, Ryan Crocker. Ambassador Crocker, welcome to Inside Iraq. Let me start by asking you about the current negotiations regarding the status of forces agreement currently under discussion between the US and Iraqis. How do we understand the conflicting statements between Iraqi and American officials?
Well, thank you, Jassim. I don't really see a contradiction. Negotiations are ongoing. They're taking place in a rapidly improving security climate. And I really think we're all saying pretty much the same thing. Iraqis are increasingly desirous of taking control of security in their country, increasingly able to do so, and that's exactly what we want to see too.
Let me take one of those statements by none other than the Iraqi National Security Advisor, Dr. Muwafaq Rabai. Upon coming out from a meeting with Sistani, he stated that Iraq will not accept any agreement unless a date definite of withdrawal and scheduled withdrawal for the US troops will be clearly indicated on that agreement.
And the following day, Dr. Rabai spoke of a planning time horizon. And I think that's exactly what we're talking about. It's important to bear in mind that force withdrawals are already underway, and they will continue. This month, the last of the so-called surge brigades departs Iraq. That will reduce our combat power by 25% over what it was at the height of the surge, at the same time that casualties are at their lowest levels since early 2004. So as conditions continue to stabilize and improve, we all anticipate future force withdrawals, and indeed, perhaps at a pace faster than any of us expected.
Indeed, the driving force, Ambassador, behind all this is the improved security, not only in Baghdad, but in the rest of the country, giving confidence to the Iraqi government as well as Iraqi security forces that a new page has been opened, a new corner has been turned. And yet, explain to the viewers, what is the rush behind at least the declared statement that the Americans, they would like this agreement signed before the end of July?
In this, as in so many other things, Jassim, getting it right is more important than getting it quick. I think both governments, both peoples, would like to conclude agreements as quickly as possible that pave the way for an end to the current Chapter 7 resolution, that mark full sovereignty by Iraqis over their affairs. It's natural to want to get it done as rapidly as we can. What we have to do is have in place before the end of the year a legal basis for our forces so that the Security Council resolution can expire and not be renewed. That, of course, will mark a very significant moment in Iraq's history as it takes its place on the international stage as a fully sovereign country in charge of its own affairs.
Indeed, that is the date almost sacrosanct, and that is December 31st, 2008, when the UN mandate will run out. But Iraqi officials are also saying that we have three options. Option number one, perhaps we will strike a short agreement between Iraq and the US. Option number two is to go back to the UN and ask for another extension. And option number three is to work out on this long agreement. Perhaps it will be beyond 2009. Perhaps Senator Obama summed it best when he spoke with Zibari. That is how Zibari related it to him. He says, ask him, what is the rush? Why are you rushing into this agreement? I pose the same question to you, Ambassador. What is the rush?
Well, the imperative here is to have a basic legal agreement in place that provides for the necessary authorities and protections for U.S. and other coalition forces to operate in support of Iraq after the end of the year. And indeed, another way to look at it is to say that there are also combinations of options. There could be a short temporary agreement, a protocol or something like it, that would provide the basic authorities that I just spoke of for a temporary period until that longer-term status of forces agreement is concluded.
Ambassador, can you understand why some doubters, some cynics, whether outside Iraq, whether even in the United States, let alone within the Iraqi parliament, and the resistance that this short temporary agreement is nothing more than a ploy? This is nothing more than to get the foot into the door in order, after this administration expires and the next president comes in, then the US will throw its full weight on this agreement and snatch somehow a long-term agreement with the Iraqis, i.e. Bases, troops, time indefinite?
I guess the best way to answer that, Jassim, is to say that basically the United States and Iraq, Americans and Iraqis are seeking the same thing. Iraqis want to be fully in charge of their security. That is what we want too. We do not want an extended period in which we're present in Iraq in a combat role. We do not want permanent bases, and Iraq does not want us to have them.
That last statement by you, Ambassador, fits perfectly with a letter addressed to the U.S. Congress by 31 Iraqi legislators. It's a long letter. I will only read just part of it. It says, the legislators pledged to reject any agreement that is not linked to clear mechanism obligating U.S. troops to leave with a declared timetable and without leaving behind any military bases, soldiers, or hired fighters. Meaning to say, Ambassador, when this final agreement is negotiated and signed by the U.S. and Iraq, it will go to the Iraqi parliament, and any of those left, i.e. the bases, the soldiers, and time not definite, it will be rejected. Are you taking into consideration the Iraqi parliament and the will of the Iraqi people?
We are taking into account Iraq's full sovereignty. That is something Iraqis insist on, and it's something I think that all of us want to see.
Thank you, Ambassador Crocker. We'll take a short break now. We'll continue our discussion in just a bit. Stay with us.
The direction we are taking is to have a memorandum of understanding, either for the departure of the forces or to have a timetable for their withdrawal. Nouri al-Maliki, Iraqi Prime Minister.